So I was browsing AliExpress the other day when I found this. KBB Hornets Agent, an oversized knockoff of Newage's H1 flipper, and it was being sold for a single £1, including delivery. How could I resist? After paying a whopping 20 pence in tax, I awaited its arrival, slowly becoming more and more aware that buying a transforming toy and having it shipped for £1 is definitely a sign of something being very, very wrong with the world that I am now complicit in, but when it did show up, I was left with a far simpler quandary. How much toy was I getting for £1? Hornets Agent, or possibly Wasp Agent, is from Kubianbao, and when knocking off Newage's toy, they did make some changes beyond just blowing it up from 6 to 10 centimeters tall. Even just looking at pictures, I can see the inside panel on the feet is different, the shoulder mounts are yellow rather than black, making for a tidier looking alt mode, and the face sculpt is... it's got a different energy. If you notice that the head is always looking up in these shots, it's because the head does not seem to go together correctly, and when you try to move it down, his face falls off. Also means you can't transform it without just entirely removing the head. The price is starting to make sense now. So I'm going to go and fix this, but just be aware that a fairly important part of the guy was not correctly made. I'll see you in like 20 minutes. Alright, a little bit of strategic filing and the head is properly attached now. I also popped an Autobot badge in him because it was bothering me that it wasn't there and I was already modifying him. Anyway, the upscaling has brought Hornets Agent up to just under modern deluxe Bumblebee height, or Goldbug in this case, and he does look the part, fitting in pretty well with a Generations collection even if he is a little light on greebly details. He poses pretty well due to an abundance of ball joints, or at least as well as possible when your feet are each a quarter of a Volkswagen. His knees look pretty weird, but I'm not about to start judging people by their knees, and the only joint he's really missing is a waist swivel, but considering the size of the original toy, that's not surprising. Hornets Agent comes with a single accessory, a very tiny gun, that due to his hands being positioned slightly inwards, he can't really point very straight. But it's so small you'll probably lose it within 15 minutes of opening the box, so that won't remain a problem for very long. Oh, also, Healy mode. He has a Healy mode. Comments: deformation. If you've had your hands on the modern Bumblebee / Cliffjumper mould, then the way the legs work here will feel quite familiar. But the chest ends up facing completely the opposite way to that toy, and because of that they're able to do the whole thing without parts forming. In the end we have a very cute little bug, looking much more like the condensed Penny Racer original Bumblebee toy, which I like because it always feels subtly wrong when he turns into a photorealistic VW Beetle, rather than an adorable Pudge version of one. Although, maybe that's just me. Now, here we do sadly have another QC issue. One of the wheels was not pinned correctly, so it barely moves, which feels less than ideal in a car, but what do I know. Also, the instructions way of showing you the weapon storage might be the least helpful I've ever seen. It fits in like this, by the way. But as they say, in kind as the standard. So yeah, it had some issues, some pretty big the face falls off issues, but for what I paid, this is a pretty ridiculous amount of toy to get. Some parts maybe don't feel quite as nice as I'd like, but you know, it is a knockoff. And now I'm just really curious to try out the actual Newage version. I can't imagine how much cuter this would be if it was 40% smaller. I'll be completely honest with you, I was not expecting to like this as much as I have. Sure, I shouldn't have to fix things right out the box, but when I spent less on it than I would buying a couple of cans of Apple Tango, I don't really mind doing a little bit of repair work, you know? Plus it gives me something to do beyond worrying about how much I'm contributing to an unsustainable exploitative system by getting a knockoff shipped from China for basically nothing. So the answer to the question in the title of this video is, you can sometimes pick up a remarkable amount of toy for £1. You just might feel a little bit weird about it. So, I was browsing AliExpress the other day when I found this.